The twin flame path is a spiritual path. One of the nicest compliments I've ever received was on my video regarding the healing of the feminine wound. Someone commented, "Thank you for legitimizing the twin flame journey." And I think in so many ways, the twin flame journey has been, I don't know what the word is, delegitimized. And there's several reasons for that. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. So the twin flame path, it is a spiritual path and a legitimate spiritual path. The problem is there's so many pitfalls and so much interference on the twin flame journey. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Now, when I say it's a spiritual path, some of you might want to turn that off because that might sound triggering, because you may be interpreting that as it must mean that I'm not meant to be with my twin. And that's not what I'm saying at all. But the truth is, the only way to walk this path and to stay sane and to stay on your purpose is with God's help. And if you don't reach out to God, and if you don't take the time to do your spiritual practices, then yeah, this is going to be probably a very painful and trying journey. But for those of us that know that the key is reaching out and asking for help, then we see the transformation. We let go of the pain. We transmute that, and we're able to move forward to the true meaning or the true purpose of the twin flame journey. So let's go a little bit deeper into this. I want to show you this card from my deck, the Twin Flame Oracle. And the message of this card is, I feel the sexual energy between us, yet it's beyond physical attraction. It needs to be elevated to the expression of deep, unconditional love. So one of the pitfalls is the strong feelings of attraction and even love that we feel for the other person. And that triggers a need in us. We do not want to feel rejected and abandoned by that person. And for most twins, this happens, right from the beginning, and we're not in a conscious state. We don't have the conscious awareness of all the spiritual things, although some of you might. And we just focus on that need. The pitfall is too many people get stuck in that need and they never get out of it. And that's why they continue to remain in a pain cycle. And a lot of the things that are out there in the world about twin flames, instead of helping people move past it, they keep people in that cycle because they're focused on the need and the relationship, when what would really help people is focusing on the self and that deep spiritual connection with God, because that's what's going to bring the person. So that's where you really need to use your discernment when you're what are you consuming about twin flames? And each person is going to have their own thing. But, if you're just watching reading after reading after reading because you are just trying to find reinforcement about what's happening in the relationship, then that may not be serving you in the long term. And you would be better off trying to put your focus on spiritual practices that you can implement in your daily life to help you rise above. That's what we need to raise this to deep unconditional love. I was doing a QHHT session with someone this weekend, and she felt as though she never could really connect with people. And so when we were asking her guide for information about this, her guide said that she, her issue was with human love, not spiritual love, that she understood spiritual love just fine, and that her mission was to help people with spiritual love. This is what the unconditional love is. It's spiritual love. What does that mean for us? It means that you take that focus, that love, when you meet your twin, it gets so centered on that one person. But when you follow the spiritual path, then you realize that what this is leading us towards is unconditional love in this very broad sense. And unconditional love starts with self-love. The unconditional love is loving ourselves. And that is a key piece of the journey that I think gets missed. And then when that unconditional love for self comes in, when we can find that and we can feel that, then we release judgment of all the people around us. Because remember, everyone's just a reflection of us. So when we stop judging us, we don't have to judge everybody outside of us, including our twin flame. So a lot of this card is like, instead of focusing on the person, focus on loving yourself. The other thing is with this, it's like the 3D, I don't want to even use the term 3D. I want to use the term material world, because another pitfall for twin flames regarding this is there's too much focus on the material world, when what the twin flame journey is meant to do is get you to step out of the material world and step into the spiritual world. Because what twins are here to do is bridge the gap between the material and the spiritual. So the material world is this, our senses, this is the only thing that's real. And I hear this all the time from people when I'm doing sessions with them. I can't do this journey anymore because there's nothing in the 3D. It's not real. This is an illusion. When the truth is, this is the illusion. Believing that this is reality. And it's kind of funny that I'm choosing to hold up my phone, because there's multiple layers of this, right? Because not only is the physical object, but we believe that this little connection that we have through the phone is reality as well. And all of that is nothing but an illusion. And if you get stuck in the 3D reality, then you're not going to reach out for God, and you're going to keep yourself in the pain cycle. And then it actually can drive you crazy if you're just seeking 3D confirmation and you can't move out of that, because the more you seek it, the less you will have it. Because the point of the journey is to let it go, is to not need that. Because time is an illusion. Reality, what we call reality, is an illusion. And the truth is that spiritual world. The truth is what we feel in our heart. The truth is the connection. And so one of the ways, if we turn to God to help us, God will help us see through the illusion of that. Because the need is coming from our ego. And resolving our ego is one of the key reasons why we're here as well. Another thing I want to say about this card, that's why I chose this card. There's so much I could say about these cards. So if you use these cards, maybe this will give you some ideas about different ways to interpret this card. Another pitfall for twins is with the material world is they get stuck in the sexual connection. So if they have that connection and they have a sexual relationship, but then they get very frustrated because they're having a hard time moving that relationship out of just being sexual and moving it into a deeper, more committed relationship, or if they're so focused on the 3D, then there isn't a lot of need for them. There isn't a lot of need for them to then focus on the 5D, because if they are, talking on the phone every day, then they don't need the telepathic connection necessarily. But we still have to develop our spiritual muscles. And so if we're only focusing on the material connection or the sexual relationship, or we're just so focused on getting to some end point with the relationship, and we're not creating the spiritual connection with God, then the twin flame connection doesn't have the structural support that it needs to actually bring it into the 3D reality. And even twins that are together, spend a lot of time together, they still need that spiritual connection. But for most of you, you've agreed not to come together until you build that spiritual connection between you and God. Really, the twin flame connection is a triangular relationship. It's you and your twin and God. And so without the God piece, then to me, that's not the twin flame journey, because twin flames are a spiritual path with a mission and a reason to be here. So have you ever thought of that? Like, maybe the reason why I'm in separation from my twin is because I need to build that connection with God. And for a lot of twins, they definitely need that connection before they feel ready to take the connection to the next step, because there's still those pitfalls, right? And the ego is definitely another pitfall. And the ego plays tricks with our mind in the form of projections. And so unless we do the spiritual work to clear some of that out of our field, then even if we have that connection with our twin, we might both be stuck in this pain cycle unless we can, heal certain parts of ourselves. And I'm not saying you have to heal everything, but both people have to be willing to take responsibility for themselves and their actions. And to be honest, guys, I think that's another kind of pitfall, is that a lot of stuff that's out there about twin flames by maybe people that, I'm not going to go there, but you can't just blame the other person. We all, part of the spiritual journey is taking 100% responsibility for everything that's in our life, including what's going on with our twin, and not projecting everything onto our twin, but looking within ourselves to see what we still are working on. And I think that can be hard for people, and that can be another pitfall that people face. But again, it's the way to get out of it is to keep on the spiritual path. And so going back to what I was saying before, so many times I hear from people when I'm working with them, it's like, well, I don't want this path, and I don't want to be on this journey anymore, and I just want this pain to stop. But if they're not doing the spiritual work, if they're not reaching out to God for help, Because, guys, we can't do this on our own. There's a lot to clear. And if we just go by our ego, we'll never be able to follow through with what we need to do. So this is really what we're talking about when we're talking about surrender, is saying that we need help. We can't do it all on our own, and we don't have to, because God and those beings that work with God and support God and help in the multidimensional planes, they're there to help us, but we have to ask for it and we have to let them in. Kind of the worst aspect of this that I see, and I'm seeing it more and more, unfortunately, and that's why I'm probably going to do some videos focusing on it, such as this one, is when we get stuck in the pain cycle so much that we feel we have to disconnect from our twin. And in order to disconnect from your twin, you have to, it's very painful. Why do you think it's painful? A lot of you believe you're doing that because your ego's telling you that it's an illusion and you need to disconnect from the illusion. But if that were true, it wouldn't be painful for you to disconnect, because that's not how God works. God doesn't want us to experience pain. When we experience a lot of pain, it might be because we're not meant to disconnect from that. And I mean, the truth is we're all one. So when you disconnect from your twin, it's like disconnecting from everything. It's reinforcing separation. And the more you separate from them, the more you're reinforcing separation, the more you're going to experience separation in your life, not just from the one person, but you're going to experience separation in a lot of ways. And then that comes out as separation from God. So because when people try to disconnect from their twins, it becomes so painful, then by extension, they separate from God. They get angry at God. And then there's more pain, and you can't get out of that pain cycle. So please don't do that. You can't quit the spiritual path. Once your soul has committed to it, and your soul committed to this before you incarnated, there's no getting off of it. Okay? And the only way to work through the pain is to follow the spiritual path. But you don't have to do it alone. So if you need more help and support with this, or if you just want to support the collective energies, and that collective energy includes the Twin Flame Collective, then please join me for a free workshop that I'm going to be doing with my friend Christine Grimm. And it is using Ho'oponopono to do clearings and cleanings. And I'm going to be posting a video with Christine that will give you more information. I'm not sure if I'm going to post this video first or that video. So just be on the lookout for it. And it is going to be a donation-based workshop. So we would really love it if as many people as possible could join us, and we could do a lot of clearing for twin flames. So sending you guys a lot of love. If you want to connect with me, I'll link my website below, and also links to my deck, the Twin Flame Oracle. Sending you guys a lot of love, and I'll speak to you again soon.